Hello and welcome back to Game 3 of the Upsurge Junior League. Joining me is the Rude Dude One himself, and we have Game 3 of Omega Gaming Unleashed versus Eternal. What a series this has been. We've seen back and forth so far, bringing us here into Game 3. And a really, really good sign for Eternal is going to be that Yasuo ban coming out so quickly here against Omega. VAR is going to be the very, very first pick here for Omega. Probably one of the best ADCs in the game right now, but Oriana able to do so much work there in game 2 is going to be picked up for Eternal here in game 3. This isn't looking good so far for Omega.
Yeah, the humble run back, as we call it. It's not the salty run back because they won that game number 2. Eternal just so far picking the same champs that they did in game number 2. Obviously, the Fiddlesticks has been banned away from Omega, so there will be a little bit of a difference in the jungle. But with Omega here picking up Varus as the bot laner, you touched on it just then, probably the strongest AD carry at the moment, and the majority of that comes from the versatility that the pick provides. No matter what build you go for, he's going to be able to really do well in a lane phase, and then dependent on what he needs to do in the later stages of the game, can either go for that lethal tempo and the on-hit build, or can diversify himself into a poke variant of a champion, taking that Arcane Comet, taking the lethality style Q-Max build as well.
Yeah, not to mention one thing we've talked about before is Karma actually going to be picked up for the third game in a row for Omega. We saw her game 1 in the top lane. We saw her game 2 in the mid lane. Not too much success though, but we are seeing her game 3 here picked up with a Galio. Now Galio can go either into the mid lane or the support position for the Varus. However, I would anticipate Karma actually picking up for support here in game 3. Varus and Karma can both provide a lot of poke there and a lot of laning potential there against someone like Tristana, who is naturally going to be shoving the lane and is naturally going to look for fights there, potentially punishing that aggression that we could be looking for. Meanwhile, we are getting into the second ban phase right here. Olaf, probably still one of the strongest junglers in the game, and Jarvan as well, going to be banned out. Eternal recognizing that they don't want too much dive there onto that Oriana. Jarvan, just a good champion in general. Good one to get off the map.
Yep, you're exactly right here. Omega already drafting nice little bit of engage, or a nice bit of follow-up rather. They need that engage to come through originally, because
Mhm.
they don't have a way of getting the Galio in per se. He's good at getting himself in once there's another tanky champion in the front line with the hero's entrance. But at the minute,
Yep.
doesn't really have too much setup for himself to get in there. Obviously, the chain of
Yeah.
corruption going to come through, going to do work as well.
Yeah, it's going to be very big for Omega to draft some kind of heavy engage here in their either jungle or top lane to combo here with the Galio. They've had the Jarvan band, Jarvan Galio being a very, very strong combo, and the Zac band as well. Not to mention the Wukong, the Volley Bear, and the Olaf, all of which have been banned, most of which by themselves. I would really like to see the Vi here in the jungle. Probably one of my favorite junglers in the game. Very, very fun to watch. And pretty good into this team comp. It is going to be picked up right here. In that Varus is going to have to be very, very careful if he looks for even walking anywhere onto the map against the Vi. Unstoppable with her own ultimate, not to mention the amount of damage she can do when she gets onto that character. Like we talked about for Omega, we're going to want to see the heavy engage. Who can they pick up right now? Who has the engage? Oh, I would love to see an Ornn picked up right here. He doesn't really go in so hard, but he can combo very, very well with a Galio. I want someone who can dive. I want to see a Nocturne coming out here. No, I don't want to see the Kindred. I want to see a Nocturne. Oh, that's not what I
Unfortunate,
wanted to see.
not going to get the Nocturne coming through, but this is a secondary form of damage that is something that we really needed to see from Omega in the second game where they fell. They drafted, or they'd been drafted a Nautilus against them, Oriana as well, and it was really difficult for all of the damage to come through onto, or all of the tanking needed to be done by Adjustment himself, and it was really easy for Eternal to focus down Aphelios and get the kill. With this Kindred being drafted, it makes it so that they're going to be able to, or going to have to, split their resources and have to focus on two different carries themselves. Got Kindred and Varus, two very strong scaling, very well adverse late game hyper carries, with the Karma in their pocket as well. Big front line on the Ornn, and nice support coming through from the Karma, which, as you touched on, called it perfectly. Expect to see this Karma going down into support role. So all three roles from the Karma here, really using the flex to its full potential. but Omega are looking to really set up a nice team fight to go toe to toe with Eternal in this game.
Absolutely. And let me just talk a little bit about what my opinion there was on the jungle. I talked a little bit about this earlier, how important it is to have some kind of setup there from the Galio. You know, there's just so much value in just having one of your teammates running in, getting some kind of CC on the backline, and then being followed up by the Galio. The Jarvan Galio combo, probably one of the stronger ones in the game. You know, we talked a little bit about the Gragas Yasuo, but Jarvan Galio can win you a whole team fight, you know? One thing about the Kindred, though, is going to be very important. I guess it's going to mean a sort of a shift of change for Omega. There in game two, they sort of lost team fights by having their ADC get dove on. Now, having the Galio, having the Kindred, that's going to give them a lot of resources to keep him safe. However, I would like to argue that the reason they were losing those team fights is because they were not the ones engaging. They were ones getting engaged on. So that's why I really would have liked to see the Nocturne to just running in there onto that backline, killing up that Orianna before she was able to bring so much value with her own ultimate. However, so they are going to be playing the game of counter engage versus engage on the side of Eternal. It is going to be much more difficult for Omega to pull this one off. The counter engage almost always is. But if they do play this one well, they could have an easy third game here. Not to mention if they're able to get Kindred ahead, who does snowball fairly, very well in the jungle.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And in a team comp like this, where Omega are really going to be looking to back themselves up, it is going to be kind of important for Eternal to keep themselves level or at least ahead in this game, because the only Eternal only really goes forward here. You know, Vi has Assault and Battery to get herself in. Rocket Jump from Tristana as well. Nautilus always wants to go in with the Tidal Wave as well, speeding them all up to get themselves into the team fights. It's all in, in, in. Omega are going to have to, if Omega get themselves ahead and you're running into a team fight where Varus can Chain of Corruption you to slow you down and deal DPS while he's ahead, as well as Ornhorn coming through to disturb your engage as well, it's going to be really difficult for Eternal to get to the backline and get to dealing the damage. So look really heavily on this early game to see whether or not Omega are able to find any advantages, or whether or not Eternal are able to just keep themselves level and keep a steady hold on this game.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're going to have so much here that we're going to be working with there in this game. And real quickly, I'd just like to talk a little bit about what we can look for here in game three that we didn't really see there in game two. It's going to be very, very important to get some kind of advantage here over that Orianna in the main lane. We saw how much damage she was able to build. She did go for the Seraphs. That gives her a little bit more AP than we saw from like something like Luden's Echo. We saw the Death Cap coming out. We saw so much damage here from the Orianna. She was absolutely able to blow up the backline. So keeping the Varus safe, getting those like what's the word? The early karma shields onto the Varus, onto all those backlines, and just making sure Orianna can't just be absolutely devastating when it comes to that sort of thing. Being able to look for that, being able to look for an extended late game, they are going to have a little bit more of an advantage with the Ornn items when level 14 comes. And all of that together mean that the later this game goes, the more of an advantage I would like to say goes over to the side of Omega Gaming. However, it is still going to be a more difficult game for them to play. They're going to have to be five-manning fairly early because in the skirmishes, they're going to have a lot to deal with in the Orianna, in the Vi, in the Tristana, all of which play the 2v2 or the 3v3 very, very well. Either way, this is going to be a very, very exciting game three here in this series. We're going to be going to a quick ad from our sponsors, so stick around here for game three of the Upstairs Junior League. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here in game three of Upsurge League. We are looking at game three of Omega Gaming Unleashed versus Eternal Esports. Game one was a stomp. Game two, much, much more favored for the side of Eternal Esports, getting just absolutely devastating team fights for their side. And we're going to be seeing hopefully some similar stuff from both teams here in game three. A lot of really good things to watch this game. Wouldn't you say so?
Definitely would. We've seen either team manage to take a game now, and it really is going to be on the early game. It's been decided there pretty much both games. Game number two was a little bit closer in the mid game, but we can definitely say that Eternal had a strong advantage going through that early game, and game number one was significantly favoured toward Omega Gaming Unleashed. And it's going to be on mainly, these junglers. Samalkrim, Shreyu here, Vi versus Kindred. You have to say that you'd probably think that Vi has the advantage early on in this jungle matchup, so it's probably going to be on whether or not Samalkrim can maybe do some macro outplays or some micro adjustments to keep himself out of this Vi's range.
Absolutely. Vi does not see too much play in the jungle in competitive settings. However, she is still extremely good, especially with that Hail of Blades rune. It'll just get so much damage so quickly onto an enemy jungler. However, Kindred does have the advantage of being able to sidestep Vi's primary means of engage in her Q, meaning that she could potentially look for outplays when we look for any of these fights. Vi is going to be starting on the bottom side of her map, and Kindred is going to be starting on the top side, meaning they will not meet each other. We should see some ganks in the top and bottom side here at 3 minutes. I would love to see any kind of advantage here from both these junglers, just looking really, really hard to get something here in this early game. But we talked to this a little bit about in Champ Select, how these are going to be very, very difficult for Omega Gaming Unleashed when it gets time for these team fights to roll around.
Yeah, it really is. They've got Vi with the assault and battery. It's really a really easy to execute comp from Eternal. They essentially have to get in range and then just press their R buttons. As soon as Rain's got range on his depth charge, as soon as the Vi ultimate's going to come through, it's really easy for Midget on this Orianna to put the ball on the Vi, and just as soon as that assault and battery has come through, just press the R, get the shockwave, make it free onto one target, maybe evade in the jungle.
Ooh, but it is going to be a Vi Q Smite finishing off that red buff. Meanwhile, with the Karma just being on a little bit to the side, they are going to look for an engage there. Onto the Varus, getting him very, very low in an all-in here from the Tristana. We talked a little bit about how the poke advantage is there. Oh, but meanwhile, in the jungle, we're going to see Gallo getting a lot of damage there onto the Orion, but they're going to have to deal with the Vi right now. She's doing a lot of damage there to Kindred, and they're going to look to take this one out right now. They don't want to fight any much longer. I think they might have been able to look for something if they were a little bit more coordinated, but understanding that they are only human, they do have errors. They're not going to look for any more fights there on the Vi, and they're going to look for just going back to farming. Really, really smart when you scale as hard as Kindred does.
Yeah, nice plays from Eternal here, Overall, get themselves the flash on the Varus, get themselves the flash on the Kindred as well. They only have to burn Shreyu's flash for it, and overall advantage to them for sure. This Hail of Blades Vi early on is going to be dealing more damage than a Kindred, so they have to pay that respect that they can't go toe-to-toe with them early on, especially in a Galio versus Orianna matchup. Yes, Galio brings the CC, but at this early stage, Kindred just doesn't quite bring the damage, doesn't pack the punch that it needs to make the 2 versus 2 go their way. And just...
Absolutely. Ooh, but Vi is going to be going for something here in the mid lane. There is no level 6 yet from the Orianna, only going to be level 4 right now. I mean, we do not have the seismic shockwave to do anything about it. But a lot of damage coming right there onto the Galio. Meanwhile, Orange just getting some fat trades for himself. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, saw a little bit of a CS advantage there for the Varus. And with the fat wave underneath this tower right now, it's going to keep continuing right here. He has aggressive lane right here with all this both in the Karma, in the Varus. And things are very rough right here for Tristana, but she was able to get that very good all in for herself. We see that the Nami is going to be backing right here. She did go for an amplifying tome. I mean, she's going to be very, very squishy. However, the bonus healing from that might be what she needs to stay alive. I would like to see a little bit more mana regen because it's so easy to go out of mana on that champion. Meanwhile, Tristana by herself, she wants a little bit more gold to get her BF sword, so she's going to be laning by herself for a little bit longer. Meanwhile, both junglers are actually going to be in the bottom half of the map. Kindred Going to be looking for some kind of a gank mid here. Meanwhile, on the top lane, we are seeing just a similar trades. Big knockup coming here on the Nautilus. Orange, just so much damage in that guy's combo. He's getting the Nautilus so low. Meanwhile, Kindred looking for something in the mid lane. Both bottom lanes kind of just pussyfooting around, not entirely sure what to do. Orianna probably going to have to go for it back soon. She is out of mana. She has the 40 CS. That's an easy lost chapter.
Yep, she's going to be able to pick that up for herself. Going to be looking very comfortable in this lane. Going to be able to keep the mana regen up and maybe a gank down with Midget at the bottom.
Oh, but a fat Q right here, comboed with all that extra damage there from the Tristana. 2 teleports coming in a little bit late here in the bottom lane. Nautilus using his, trying to turn this into another potential kill right here. A big taunt coming out here from the Galio means that they're not going to be able to get that last amount of damage there on the Karma. Another teleport is coming out here for the side of Omega Gaming, and it's the Galio ultimate. They're able to turn around. That's 2 kills for themselves in almost a third, but it's going to be the Ornn ultimate taking a lot of damage. Using these teleports so effectively, they're able to turn it around into a kill. They're able to turn it into 3 kills for themselves, turning a 1-for-0 into a 3-for-1 for themselves. And with Baron on the map, not Baron, Dragon on the map right now, giving them all of that ultimate CDR, which is going to be very, very useful. They're setting themselves up very good here for the rest of this match.
Yeah, really nice play from Omega Gaming Unleashed, matching the teleports and matching them significantly. You know, they commit 3 teleports down to the bot lane. Adjustment fell on the initial play and then teleported back in as soon as he respawned. You know, we're only 5 minutes into the game when the play was happening. These respawn timers aren't long at all, and when you have to counter the TPs from your own bot laners as well, there's a lot to factor in. Unfortunately, we did see that Midget did actually TP back into the mid lane with the Lost Chapter purchase, didn't go down to help the fight bot lane, maybe feeling like that Eternal had that fight under wraps, maybe a little bit of miscommunication or misunderstanding of the situation, because Eternal looks like they were quite confident that they'd be able to get out. And we do see, you know, 7 minutes into this game, 7.5 almost, Unleashed rotating their bot lane to top.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if that's really the play here. We talked about so much how, yes, the all-in is very confident from the Tristana, but in terms of getting poke advantages, they should have the advantage over to the side of the Lethality Varus and the Karma, especially now that he's got a Serrated Zerg picked up. So I'm not entirely sure if going in and on-tiering to lane against the Nautilus is what they want. However, it is going to be a matched trade right here from the Tristana and the Nami. This means that both bottom lanes are actually going to be here when this Rift Herald is going to be spawning here in just a few seconds. Really, really good macro play here from both the teams. I did not anticipate seeing something quite so advanced here at the high platinum level. This is going to be starting up right here on the Rift Herald. However, Varus doing his best to get a little bit of damage right there on the squishy support. Whether or not they actually go to finish this right here with Vi rearing her head is going to be something to be seen.
Super Chase is up on this top side as well. He pushed the wave bot and pathed up to top side, so it's going to create a numbers advantage for Unleashed for a little bit. We'll have to see whether or not they can convert it into anything else.
Oh, but the Ornn ultimate is coming out right here. They're trying to get the catch out. However, it's not going to hit anyone. But the Galio Flash and Taunt is going to hit 2 members. That is a clean 2-for-0 for Upsurge. The Vi ultimate going in, but unfortunately, she's not going to have any teammates there to back her up. A clean 3-for-0 for the side of Omega Gaming. We talked a little bit about how this is going to be very easy for them to pull off. You know, all it is, Vi ultimate in, get hit with the Orianna ball, but she's not going to have anything to work with if they're playing like this. You got to start coordinating your fights a little bit better.
Yeah, and that was purely because Unleashed rotated Super Chase up to the top side initially. If the Nautilus was there to make that play, that's an entirely different team fight, but the Ornn comes through, burns the 2 flashes of Midget, and then forces Path into another avenue, and it makes Princeton's engage really easy to get involved with. He taking the
but we are seeing Kindred getting caught out right here. She does have her flash, and we do have the Galio ultimate available, meaning that we're not going to see too much, and they're actually going to be able to turn it around. So much damage coming out there on the Nami. Tristana looking very, very weak here under the tower, but she's going to rocket jump forward. Oh, but she's going to be exhausted, meaning she will not have the damage. She finished off the Karma. That combined with the Varus damage, she's going to fall, and another almost 3-for-0. Are we going to get the kill there onto Nautilus? One more auto attack? Yes, it is. One more auto attack there. A 3-for-0. Another fight going the way of Omega Gaming. Eternal Esports. We talked about how easy this would be for them, but they're not playing these team fights correctly. Orianna wasn't even there.
Yeah, just numbers advantages once again on the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed. The Rift Herald, they had the 4 versus 5. This time, Orianna wasn't able to rotate up to the top side, and it's all going the way of Unleashed right now. You know, we talked about how this Varus would be in a really difficult spot, but Eternal just haven't managed to push the buttons and make themselves, give themselves the advantage to get onto this Varus. You know, we haven't even seen the double threat from Samalkram as well to show his carry potential. He's actually sat a level down in this jungle matchup. Only has 40 CS at the 10-minute mark. He's actually just been doing so much work for his team. He's just been foregoing lots of CS. Currently sat a lot of CS down, and we are just waiting for a point where Samalkram can do damage as well. We've got Adjustment with a load,
Absolutely.
Princeton with a
Absolutely.
lot of AP as well.
Absolutely. Samalkram going to be able to do a lot of damage there with that warrior finally picked up. He was able to get a back off. Meanwhile, Vi has still not gotten her next back off right now, so she's not able to get as many items as she would want. They are going to try to get as much damage as they can onto this tower. They do not have a Rift Herald right here to pop it, so just taking some plates before this Ocean Dragon is going to spawn. This would be an absolutely huge dragon for their team, keeping them alive, keeping them healthy for these engages that they could potentially be facing later in the game. Meanwhile, Tristana and Nautilus just saying, take the dragon. We don't want it. We'll be happy taking a little bit more gold, a little bit more plates. Meanwhile, on the Varus, it's actually going to be the Umbral Glaive picked up first. Very, very good item. A lot of value in clearing the jungle, clearing away all that vision from the enemy team. This next lethality item, a lot of people might go for the Yomus or for a Edge of Night, something like that. But I would actually really like to see the lethality item that would give him a little bit of a shield against his team. It is going to be Ornn going for a little bit of an engage here. I'm not entirely sure what he's doing. Trying to just keep his tower alive, use that on the wave. He still has minions keeping him alive. And Vi is just going to take so much damage here from this tower. And with a failed 3-man under tower, Ornn is a little bit tankier than you might realize. They are all AD, and they do not have enough damage to kill that Ornn. That means that we're going to have a kill there for the Ornn and a kill here for the Kindred here. These are not the kills you want to be giving the guys to. This is going to be very difficult for them to deal with.
Yeah, maybe another one, but Eternity, Buster shots away. He's going to be fine as well. And yeah, you're exactly right. You don't want to be giving kills over at any stage, really, to any of these champions. You know, Ornn's going to get super tanky, and he's already completed that Sunfire Cape. Trying to dive 3 people onto a Sunfire Caped Ornn when you don't have your Orianna there, you don't have the magic damage to cut through Chase, is not advisable, and they found that out the hard way. They're going to be finding, you know, that if Orianna is focusing on the Ornn, then he's not focusing on the right target. It means that Adjustment and Samalkram are going to be able to run rampant in the team fights. So Super Chase really doesn't have to spec into the magic resistance too heavily. Will likely pick up the Abyssal Masquerade just because of the efficiency that he gets when he does get the ornament upgrade. But after that, going to probably just end up picking up a nice another armor item, maybe health as well. He's going to be super strong, and with that extra injection of gold, going to be really big.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely right there. And with that Umbral Glaive picked up here for the Varus, I really would like to see the Edge of Night picked up next for him. Really just making it so much harder for Vi to do her job, for Orianna to do her job against this guy. Avoiding that engage early would be absolutely valuable. It's so insane that he's able to get to 2 items so quickly in this game. He's almost there at 14 minutes, and he doesn't even have his coal finished yet. Very, very huge here for Varus in this game. And although he won't have the scaling advantage against this Tristana, who will be opting into crit, it looks like, he is going to be so much more valuable for his team for about the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, he really is, you know, so much strength coming out for him right here. And we look at this bot lane discrepancy. You know, we've got 40 CS down in this mid lane. Oh, not mid lane, rather, in the bot lane. You know, not even a full completed item yet on the side of Tristana. Level lead as well for Adjustment. It really is a really big discrepancy again from the AD carry role.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Not to mention that we also will be having another Infernal Soul coming up this game. Now, on a champion like Lethality Varus or like the Kindred, having these base stats, a very high AD, could be absolutely huge for you. Meanwhile, we are going to see an attempt at an engage here in the top lane for the Tristana and the Nami against the Varus. All right. This is going to be very, very good for them so far. They are going to be going for this next Rift Herald here for their team. Meanwhile, they are going to be looking. We're going to have to decide if we see any kind of follow up from these guys on the side of Eternal, or if they're going to be giving up another free objective to the side of Omega Gaming. It looks like another free objective.
Yeah, they tried to make the play onto Super Chase down bot side, this time bringing Orianna with them, but they weren't able to find it. TP coming back through from adjustment just to support here.
Oh yeah, but we do see the Ornn ultimate followed up by the Varus. He's going to have his own ultimate to catch out the Orianna. So much damage coming out from this guy, and it's going to mean a dead Clock Girl coming out right here. Meanwhile, they do have that Pip Tower we were talking about earlier, bringing down that first tower. He's not even going to use his charge on that first tower. He's going to get a full charge here on this tier 2 here in the mid lane. Only Vi is really nearby to do anything about it. A full 2 towers going down for the side of Omega Gaming. Vi's nearby, but they're going to get another charge over here into the mid lane, absolutely breaking open the map right here. This is exactly what you want to be doing here with these Rift Heralds, and exactly what you want to be doing here in the bottom lane. They were able to get that 1 tower for the side of Eternal Esports in the top lane, but getting all this value, all this gold for themselves at 16 minutes in the game, getting themselves a 6K gold lead. It's looking very, very rough right now. They're looking for a team fight right now. That's exactly what you want to do. You got your backs. You have a little bit of upgraded items. They're not actually able to spend that gold yet. They want to be looking for a team fight at this dragon. This is exactly what they need for the side of Eternal Esports if they want to get back into this game. I want to see the Orianna Vi combo. I want to see the ball coming through on top of the Vi. But are they even going to look for the team fight?
They're posturing for it, but they may be just too late.
Oh, but it is going to be Vi coming through, but she's going to be having to deal with the Galio ultimate. She is going to be kept alive here by the Kindred ultimate, but it's actually going to be Ornn who takes away the dragon for his team. That's going to put them at soul point, but meanwhile, it is going to be so many people going down. Varus is killing Nami. We do see so much damage coming out here for the Orianna, getting an absolutely huge fight. Meanwhile, Tristana cupping over everyone. It is 4 kills right now. Only the Ornn is live right here for Omega Game. And this fight has not been going their way. We're not able to spend their gold, but it is going to be Tristana getting another hop in. However, he has so much armor, so much health that this might actually go his way. That is a very, very low Tristana. She does have, we do have the base damages on the Ornn, but she is able to get away. She gets out her ultimate. She kills the Ornn. This is an absolute turnaround for the side of Eternal Esports.
Yeah, they pick up the 5-0 elongated fight. They do lose the Drake, so Omega Gaming Unleashed are on soul point, but that is so much gold going back in their pockets. Before that team fight you talked about it, 8k gold behind. Just after that team fight, they gained 3,000 gold on Omega Gaming Unleashed. 800 gold bounty going the way of the Nautilus. Not the ideal target, but 500 gold going to Midget on this Orianna, really doing work in these team fights, finding really nice shockwaves. Not having to, or didn't find the opportunity to combine with Treyu, but Midget might actually be caught here.
Hold up. But she is going to be caught out right here. She does have a little bit of speed up right there from her passive. Not from her passive, from her keystone. That's not going to be enough to get away from all that damage there from the Ornn. And let's talk a little bit about how that last team fight went. Now, I talked a little bit about before this, but they really messed up by not going for an earlier recall for themselves. They had a lot of gold here from all those towers they were able to take down, but when they're going immediately from those towers to a dragon fight, that means that their gold is just sitting in their pockets. It's not bringing them any value, and that the advantage is actually on the side of Eternal Esports. Because they're able to spend their gold, they're able to get as much value out of it as possible. I mean, while we are going to see a little bit of engage right here from the Vi, she uses her own ultimate. Karma's doing her best to keep it less Skylab, but all that damage there from that Tristana is going to be enough to pop that Galio, who did offer an AP heavy build. Meanwhile, the teleport is coming out here for the Orianna. We're doing the best we can on Kindred to farm up, try to get to that level up, and get a little bit lower cooldown on our ultimate for the rest of this game. I'd really like to see a Blade of the Rune King coming out here. Or not a Blade of the Rune King, a Black Cleaver coming out here for the Kindred. Get a little bit more CDR on that heavily impactful ultimate that we talked about earlier. However, you know it's even better than keeping your team alive? Killing the enemy team, which could be happening soon considering we have Infernal Soul Point right here for the side of Omega Gaming, and a Baron map coming up soon.
Yep, definitely 2 very big objectives that will be coming up. Around that 22-minute mark is about the time when you can see Barons start to be snuck, start to be taken away. And with the Infernal Soul Point going to be so prized, there's also option for Unleashed here to maybe try and make a trade, because Eternal don't want to give up this dragon at all at any cost, because the Infernal Soul buff is just going to be so useful throughout the rest of the game. Maybe there's an avenue for Unleashed to just say, yeah, you know what, you can have one Infernal Drake, we'll give you that, but we're going to trade you a Baron and we're going to break your base with it. So it's going to really be on the shot calling of Unleashed to decide what they want to do and where they want to spend their resources. So far, with Baron alive, they look like they're focusing on this top side, and with, as you mentioned earlier, Umbral Glaive on the Varus makes it really easy to clear out vision, clear out the pink wards, get themselves free. Path may be caught here.
Oh yeah, he is taking a lot of damage there from the Kindred. That combined with both of those flashes is going to mean that Nami is going to find herself caught out. But it is going to be the Ornhorn coming out, trying to catch up to Tristana. Tristana has to use her flash to get away right there, and that she's not going to have it for this next team fight or her ultimate at all either. It still is going to be a 4v5 for the next few minutes. They are going to be starting up that Baron. Whether or not they try to do anything about it on the side of Eternal, Baron is about 2/3 HP right now. They do have the Vi still available, meaning they have to keep that in mind. In the jungle, Vi is a level up here on the Kindred, but it's still going to be very, very hard for her to take that away from the Kindred, especially if they decide not even to go for it.
Yeah,
just giving away this Baron. And they do have the dragon come up here on the map in about 25 seconds, but they're going to get their backs off before that happens. And that combined with the bonus move speed that they get when exiting their base, that was not the call there to just group up by the dragon. You needed to fight at that Baron.
Yeah, you know, the trade wasn't even available right there. The dragon's still not spawned for 18 seconds now. This gives ample time for Unleashed to get back out on the map, and maybe a trap could be what signifies the go button, but they are going to be scared away by Super Chase leading the march here. Really nice formation just from Unleashed. You know, small things like that do decide games at some points, and they're going to try and clear out the vision, get around this Infernal Drake. Both teams ready and willing. We're going to see a big fight here soon.
Absolutely. And that Orianna Ball getting away from that passageway is going to mean that they're able to get into this Baron, this is Dragon Pit, and position themselves up for starting up this Dragon Soul. It has about 7k HP, meaning it's going down much quicker than that Baron. But any kind of pick they could get could mean that a team fight that will definitely erupt if they do try to start it would immediately go there, where Vi is finding her way onto the backline. She has her ultimate. We do have the Orianna ultimate as well. However, the Kindred ultimate is keeping everyone alive. However, he is going to flash outside of that ultimate, meaning he's going to die to the Tristana. We do have the Kindred over here with herself, with that stopwatch. She's trying to stay alive. But the Nautilus trying to do his best, but it's 3 for 4 right now here for these fights. Only the 2 members still alive. And with 4 members still alive on the side of Omega Gaming Esports, they're going to be able to get that Dragon Soul. They're going to be able to crack open the enemy team's base. That was not how they wanted that team fight to go. It started off so hard, able to get that engagement onto the Varus, but they were not able to find the pressure to turn it around. They had to deal with the Kindred still.
Yeah, that is the power of the Kindred. You know, we talked about this jungle pick and maybe liking to see some more dive, but we are seeing the power that Lamb's Respite was able to provide in that team fight. They executed the Vi Orianna comp perfectly. You know, they pressed the R buttons, they'd flawlessly executed.
Hold up. I'm going to stop you right there. I want you to hit tab for a second and tell me if you notice anything weird about Varus.
Oh, I am hitting the wrong buttons.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you will hit tab, you will notice that Varus, it looks like he has accidentally opted for a second Edge of Night. I believe those passives do not stack, but it is a very important item for him to have, so maybe having 2 isn't that bad. However, I don't want to take away from how impactful that last team fight was. Being able to get that Infernal Soul combo so well here with the Varus, he's able to get so much value out of his arrows and absolutely devastating the enemy team. We don't even have a Triforce yet on this fight. Aside from the Nautilus, this is still an extremely squishy team that he's going to be poking so hard here with that Infernal Soul passive. The one saving grace here for Eternal Esports is that they're going to be able to have a Elder Dragon that they can fight at here in about 4 minutes. Probably the one way they can get themselves back into the game, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, for sure. At the minute, with the Infernal Soul and just the remnants of the Baron buff just wearing out as they get themselves a couple turrets down bot lane, OGU, with this Varus in particular, are going to be really strong. The poke that's going to come through really amplified by that sort of 200-300 splash magic damage that's going to come out from the Soul. And interesting to see that, yeah, he's just gone back and immediately sold it, realized the error
Yeah,
of his
yeah.
ways.
No, we saw it, man. We saw it. You're getting called out. He's going to sell his second Edge of Night for the Yo moves. Boy, that's embarrassing, wouldn't you say? Either way, he is going to get a lot of value out of that Yo moves. I believe it gives 18 lethality. It's going to be even better than the 10 or 12 lethality there from the Edge of Night against the characters like the Vi, who just finished her Triforce and will probably start being a tanky champion right about now. I'd like to see a Dead Man's Plate or something coming out for her. Probably the best thing for a champion like that, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, at this point, Vi isn't really going to be dealing the damage that she wants to be. Maybe even the Trinity Force was a little bit greedy, just because of the Kindred, really. The Lamb's Respite, we saw it in that last team fight, how impactful it was. Trying to get a solo kill or even a dive kill onto Adjustment or Simulacrum really isn't going to be too easy, so look to see her build up the tank and just be able to sustain herself a little bit more in the team fights and keep causing disruptions. If she can get off one or two more Vault Breakers, then she'll be doing a lot more than just pumping out extra couple of auto attacks that she'd do with the AD build.
Absolutely. And they have two really good AD carries on the side of Omega Gaming. The Kindred and the Varus, both very, very far ahead. That compared to where the Tristana is right now, it is a fairly standard build for most AD carries to go that first item right there. The Storm Razor into the Rapid Fire Cannon, into an Infinity Edge. But realizing she does not have the gold, she's not going to go for the Embedded. She's going for the Last Whisper to deal with that Ornn. But that Lamb's Respite actually having to be forced out right there from that good Nautilus hook. That's exactly what you want to see. That ultimate is now down for a very long time. A lot of engages coming out right here. A big Nautilus ultimate, a big Vi ultimate, and Ornn just doing his best to try to work against the backline. However, it is going to be a Galio ultimate that gets stopped here by the Nami bubble. This is almost a 5-for-0, a 4-for-0 team fight in the favor of Eternal Esports. How do you throw that?
Yeah, you know, Eternal, they see the Lamb's Respite isn't available and they think, wait, that's what has been countering us this entire time. No Kindred ult means that they can press the go button so easily, and they execute again perfectly. Vi ult goes down on Varus, Shockwave comes out on top, Depth Charge over the top. There's actually just no counterplay for Adjustment. The counterplay that they have is not being in the range, and as soon as Lamb's Respite was used, we needed to see Unleashed back off and reset. They didn't do that, and they're now likely going to lose a lot of priority on the Baron, and unfortunately, or fortunately for them rather, don't lose any objectives just yet, but we're going to have to wait and see if Eternal can translate this into some Baron pressure. Looks like they're just going to set up Vision on the bot side, or around the Baron, but nothing else to be gained there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Simulacrum cannot be wasting his ultimate like that. You have to be able to just stand aside from those early Nautilus queues and tell yourself, we only win team fights if I get a good ultimate. That was what we talked about in draft, and they're finally starting to see it. They were covered up from how well they did there in that early game. With that Baron coming up here, I believe it was the third Baron of the game, we might finally see a little bit of a fight coming out here from Eternal Shreyu. Whether or not we see him actually try to dive, they're actually going to get off of that Baron, anticipating it up. They do not have the Lamb's Respite cells. They know that they cannot team fight without that. They have it in about 12 seconds before that comes up here again. So I believe once we see that coming out, they will be able to look here for a team fight. Whether or not they'll be the ones initiating or the ones counter-initiating here is going to be said still. Baron is still on the map. They have the Lamb's Respite, and we're going to see an engage here coming up very, very quickly from Eternal. Nautilus is frontlining. They see the Ornn there in the front line. He is caught out. He's taking a lot of damage, but he's getting a lot of free CC there onto the backline. Nautilus coming in so big. Meanwhile, Ornn just 2v1 in there in the backline. Lamb's Respite coming out. They are being very, very low on the side of Eternal, and they're able to be finished offing that Nautilus there from that Forest. Kindred just doing an absolutely decimating amount of work there on that backline. She's doing so much damage to this Nami. A 2-for-1 in the favor of Omega Gaming. That is exactly what you want right there. And just getting immediately off of the Baron, they're going for the Elder Dragon instead.
Yeah, if they are able to get this Elder Drake, it's going to make their Baron take even easier. And Elder Drake, Infernal Soul, Varus poke is going to be absolutely insane if they're able to get this. We've got Shreyu, Midget, and Eternity, the three core carries, walking out through their blue jungle now, and I don't know that they're going to get there in time.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is going to be an easy Elder Dragon for the side of Omega Gaming. They know that they could look for some kind of a team fight, but that is not what you want to be doing against someone who has an Elder Dragon buff. I might see them see some kind of back right here for this, but they are going to be looking for the teleport on the side of Eternal. Nautilus, do we go for the engage here still? They still have their Elder Dragon buff, or they go for a Cheese Baron right here. They did just send the Ornn there into the bottom lane to deal with the wave. With two teleports available, there's going to be the Galio and the Ornn teleporting into the enemy team. The team time to team fight is right now. Tristana getting very, very low. Ornhorn coming out. Nami getting so low. She's almost Elder Dragon proc right there, and it will be procced here from that Varus Q. I don't even think the Elder Dragon proc was necessary. That with the Infernal Assault, that's just so much damage there on that Lethargy Varus. And a 4v5 coming up here for this Baron. It will finally be taken, it looks like. Vi is still available, but she is even levels with the Kindred. And I don't think it's a very good idea to dive into this pit and potentially throw the game.
No, it's really not. They're going to give up the Baron because when all's said and done, the likelihood that Omega Gaming get anything out or get themselves a good team fight with this Elder Drake is actually fairly unlikely. They spend a lot of time negotiating the Baron dance. Getting the kill onto Path was useful. It got them the Baron for free, essentially. And they've got about 30 seconds left to make something happen with this Drake. But if they can't get it to happen, all that they've earned from it is a Baron. And, you know, with such a powerful Drake like the Elder Drake, you really want to see teams looking to end and pressure the end with it. So it is going to be on Omega Gaming Unleashed to see whether or not they can manage to close out this game with the Baron, because that's essentially what they've traded for the Elder Drake power that they have.
Absolutely. There will be another Elder Drake on the map in just a few minutes, but there might not be another inhibitor here in the mid lane. They are sieging so well with their double ADC comp, not to mention how important these tanks are in the front line. Ooh, just getting so much damage there on that Nami. And the Ornhorn coming out looking for some kind of engage here onto the Nautilus. They are no longer trying to counter engage. They are the ones engaging on the enemy team. They're just shoving the enemy team back into their own fountain. They're doing so much damage here to these towers. Vi, she knows she needs to look for the engage. She's trying to get one here onto Kindred. She still has her ultimate available. Orianna Ball coming out soon. She does not have the ultimate available right now. Kindred is still alive and is still ticking. She's doing so much damage here to the Ornn, but she is going to go down. Tristana has her reset available. She could potentially look for something here, just wiping the enemy team. But Tristana is going to be getting hit by a straight amount of damage. Two tanks and the Varus just trying to get this one. The fish is down. The clock is almost going to be down. Varus is trying to just end the game right here. Take the enemy Nexus. That Orianna is so low. She's going to go down here to that Ornn Q with the Infernal Soul passive, and it is going to be the Nexus coming down here in game 3 of our 3-game series, which will be won by Omega Gaming Unleashed.
Wow, what a game to close out the series. You know, we couldn't have really asked for much more from either of these teams. We had a brutal game number 1 for Eternal, and then they bounced back, winning game 2 quite handily as well. And then game number 3 just comes down to the lack of neutral play from their team. Eternal do unfortunately lose out. They are going to be eliminated from the UJL playoffs. And with that, it means that, you know, adjustment, the rest of Omega Gaming Unleashed do go through. They're still fighting for their spot right now. Take the series 2-1. A really nice game from them. You know, the Elder Drake that came through secured them the Baron. They used that Baron, and as I talked about it, they ended the game with it.
Absolutely. Really, just the difference in this series was the amount of early game advantage that they were able to get on the side of Omega Gaming Unleashed. Now, we did see a little bit of that from Eternal Esports there in game 2. But when you get them to give that many kills for yourself in the early game, you're able to snowball that advantage so easily. You know, I say it on casts all the time, but a good early game leads to a good mid game, leads to a winning late game, or potentially no late game at all. And that was definitely the story here of this series. Really proud to see what we did here from Omega Gaming.
Yep, you're absolutely right. You know, really nice series, well played by them in general. And with that, though, that is all that we've got for you on the broadcast this evening. Just quick shout out, of course, to my wonderful colour caster this evening, Danielson 524. Done a wonderful job, slightly last minute, but we've absolutely smashed it this evening. Thank you very much for joining us here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And with that, we are going to be ending this cast right here. It was great to see you guys here. Wonderful cast from everyone. Happy to be around.